All right, so our last speaker this morning is Robert Ryan-Silva, and we'll be speaking on making a more livable world, makerspace for international development.
I've got to follow that. Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Rob Ryan-Silva, and I work for a company called Development Alternatives Incorporated, or DAI. DAI is an international development company, and what that means is that we're engaged by donors, usually the foreign aid agencies of developed country governments, like the U.S. Agency for International Development, to implement projects that build the capacities of people and institutions in developing countries to overcome the kinds of problems that keep those countries back. And I've been doing work like this for more than 25 years, but for not quite the last 5 years, I've been running something we call the DAI Maker Lab, where my job is to bring tools and approaches that are emerging from the maker movement and use those to build hardware and build capacities around building hardware in support of those projects that we implement around the world. And the best way that I can explain this is to give you some examples. So in Cambodia, we worked with a local NGO to design a flood early warning system. This is a piece of hardware that we usually mount on the side of a bridge, and it uses sonar to read the level of water under that bridge. Sends that information over the cell phone network every 15 minutes to a cloud-based server so it can be logged and analyzed later. But if the water exceeds levels that are set as yellow or red alert levels in the system, it triggers an interactive voice response system, a sort of automated phone system, which can make an audio phone call to, say, 10 or 15,000 people downstream within a matter of a few minutes, so that they can get potentially hours of advance warning of rising floodwaters, regardless of any barriers that may have in terms of literacy or in terms of the level of the technological level of the phone that they own, because most phones don't render the Khmer character set correct. We've got about 70,000 subscribers to this system right now, and it's growing, should be nationwide by the end of the year. In Indonesia, we gave a grant to a small makerspace in Jakarta called Makedonia to act as a sort of open hardware facilitator around a suite of open source hardware tools for small water utilities to enable those utilities to track the kind of data points that any Western water utility would use to run its system safely, efficiently, and provide good water service. The first of these is a water pressure telemetry system that uses an inexpensive oil pressure sender that you could buy at any auto parts store anywhere in the world to collect real-time pressure data from around a distribution network. And that functionally replaces a system that costs more than $2,000. It's all locally available parts and can be built locally. We're also working with a team from UMass Amherst to add to this suite a residual chlorine sensor, which will help these utilities track what's a very important water quality metric at the tap. In El Salvador, we're in the process of standing up 2 modest makerspaces. The idea of these is to act as platforms for youth to be introducing skills into the workforce that are currently demanded or we can anticipate will soon be demanded by industry because their international competitors are using these, but that aren't being taught in the traditional vocational system in El Salvador. So that's something that we're working on standing up right now, as a matter of fact. In the Philippines, we're working with a German technical university to develop an acoustic detection system for dynamite fishing. If you're not familiar with dynamite fishing, this is a practice where fishermen will literally throw bombs into the water so that they can scoop up the fish that are stunned and killed as a result. It's very popular for fishermen that want to fish in protected marine areas because they can come in at night, toss a few bombs, scoop up the fish, and be gone before anybody has any chance of catching them. So what we're doing is we're building a system that can listen for the sound, the particular waveform of these explosions, and detect that event and use the speed of sound in water to multilaterate over several devices. And we should be able to get at least an approximate location of that event, so that not only can we give coastal protection authorities the tools that they need in order to catch these folks in the act, but also we can collect data about where, when, and how often these events happen so that national and local governments, civil society, other interested parties are able to more effectively advocate for protection of their marine resources. If you have any questions about any of this, you'd like to know more, you want to take a poke at any of the hardware, feel free to stick around for a few minutes, or anytime this weekend. I look like this, and I'd be happy to chat with you more. Thank you very much.